Good morning and welcome back to Venture Daily. On today's show, just one story. Netflix just slipped generative AI into its new sci-fi series, The Eternaut, to cut costs and speed up production.
It marks the first time AI-made visuals have appeared in an original Netflix show and reignites fears about machines replacing human creatives. I'm Josiah Simons.
I'm Jackson Fordyce. It's Monday, July 21st. Let's get you smarter before your first meeting. For the very first time, generative AI has been used in a Netflix series.
That series is The Eternaut. Season 1 came out a few months ago, and AI was used to create a building collapse scene 10 times faster and 90% cheaper than traditional VFX. So the image shown here is not actually from the show. This is an image generated by Grok to kind of give you an idea. I tried to find the actual clip on Netflix. There is one clip that exists on the internet right now of it, and it is such low resolution. I was like, I just can't show it on here.
So we're not going to see it today?
We're not going to see it, as well as I feel like I just don't want to copyright with Netflix. It's just not worth it. But if you want to see it, go to Netflix if you have an account and check out the Eternaut.
The Ethernet show.
The Eternaut, and you can check out the scene. It's a building collapsing in Buenos Aires. I think a train goes through
Buenos Aires.
Yes. But Jackson.
Yeah, back to me. Co-CEO of Netflix, Ted Sarandos, said the technology enabled high-quality effects on a limited budget, making it feasible for smaller productions.
The move comes amid growing industry concerns about AI replacing human creativity and using others' work without consent.
Despite these concerns, Netflix saw strong performance this quarter with revenue up 16% and Squid Game Season 3 drawing over 120 million views.
Industry voices are divided. Some see AI as degrading the craft, while others believe it empowers artists and smaller studios to do more with less. What do you think? Is this a bad thing? Is this a good thing? Is this inevitable? Let us know down in the comments below.
Yep, and for more on the story, I spoke with Pratima Aurora.
Thank you, Jackson. Super excited to be here today. I'm Pratima. I'm the Chief Product Officer here at Smartsheet. Smartsheet is a leader in collaborative work management, over $1 billion in revenue, 85% of the top 500 companies have our customers. Personally, I'm like 20 plus years in SaaS industry, worked for some large companies like Salesforce, Atlassian, and have built, followed, and used AI tools extensively.
For my first question for Pratima, what's your reaction to Netflix becoming the first to use generative AI VFX in a final production? Is this a turning point or just a flashy use case?
Personally, it's like, I've been waiting for this, right? We have been hearing this is going to happen, and finally you actually see it in production in real life. You know, AI used by businesses, creative people, tools, movies, in so many ways to actually elevate smaller budget things to do more is very exciting to me. Though I thought the title was a little catchy. It talks about in a grim way more than how amazing this achievement is and how I look at it personally. We can dive more into it, but I'll pause here.
So the co-CEO of Netflix, Ted Sarandos, also said this quote. He said, the cost of it just wouldn't have been feasible for a show in that budget, talking about the Eternaut. And he went on to say, that sequence actually is the very first generative AI final footage to appear on screen in a Netflix original series or film. Whoa. So the creators were thrilled with that result. And I mean, I think that we can all assume that also a Netflix executive is thrilled when the result of course, generative AI use is faster and cheaper. That's always what they're going for. But I feel like it makes you wonder if studios are about to start recommending that their creators use generative AI, or even obligating them in contracts. You have to use this generative AI because it's going to make your shoot way faster, and it's going to make our costs way lower.
And for my next question for Pratima, I ask, Netflix claims AI helped them finish a major VFX sequence 10 times faster and at a lower cost. Do you see generative AI primarily as a cost-cutting tool or as a creative enabler?
The latter, right? Like I always say here at Smartsheet, or for all our customers as well, but it applies to everybody, to us as at a personal level or at a business or an organization or a creative film level. Is they are here to make our impact go 10x, right? Like, can I actually really do more with less I have? I look at them in acting world as supporting actor, but that's making the hero look even better in so many ways. I was talking to one of our creative directors recently, and one of the things that stuck with me is like, hey, I could only get like 2 or 3 creative things come back to me at the cost I had. So my optionality and speed was lowered. And what I see with what this doing is it's increasing the optionality at a lower cost and higher speed. So it's like a win-win in my mind.
I mean, that's very interesting. The hero in this case being a collapsing building in Buenos Aires. But Jackson, do you remember back in 2023 when the strikes were happening, the SAG-AFTRA and Writers Guild strikes? So those were major labor actions by Hollywood actors and writers demanding better pay. The big one, protections against AI. And finally, of course, fair streaming residuals. So writers went on strike in May, followed by actors in July, halting most U.S. film and TV productions for months. The strikes ended after studios agreed on some key terms, including limits on AI use, increased compensation, and better transparency for streaming platforms. So what were those limits on AI use actually?
Okay.
For the Writers Guild, there was two main ones. Number one, generative AI cannot write or rewrite scripts, nor can AI generated material be treated as source material. And then two, companies cannot require writers to use AI and must disclose if they provide AI generated content. Okay. For the Screen Actors Guild, number one, this is pretty much the only big one. Studios must obtain explicit, informed consent before using actors' digital likeness or voice and must pay actors as if they'd performed those scenes themselves. So you'll probably notice the big one missing is no agreement on, there's a lot more to these agreements, of course. That I haven't mentioned here. But you'll notice that there's no agreement made about studios using generative AI to replace VFX in movies and television. Hence, the beginning of the AI age on our screens.
Yes, that's the loophole. Oh, we never said we don't have to use VFX. I mean, we will show use it for writing or for like an actor's digital likeness, but we'll use it in all the buildings and everything.
I'm sure that was the main one that they wanted to protect, the studio's side, that they would have the right to use AI in their films and they would have the right to ask creators to use that generative AI. So I feel like this is just the first of many instances and potentially the first of all. Like we might just have everything on our screens be generated by AI in the next 5 years. I don't know for sure. Probably not. But I think that that's like a future that if people start embracing this, maybe everyone's just like, hey, this isn't that big of a deal. Yeah. It's the same as when VFX came out back in the day and people were like, this isn't real. This isn't real, movie. That's all fake. That's all a computer. Well, yes and no. It's still art. Still art. We'll see.
My next question for Pratima. Critics argue that generative AI risks undermining human craftsmanship in film. Where do you stand on that tension between innovation and tradition?
It's such a good question, and it's such a hard one. And this has happened over and over again. Every time innovation has happened and these things have taken into ground. While there are some easier answers to like, hey, what are the rights for things that are created legally from AI generated? While on the other side, there is still things that are not solved, like, hey, what are we doing around AI using copyrighted material for training, or things that look, more alike. The output looks more alike to some of those things. I think those things are not solved. But I personally think it's a real challenge, especially for people who are in the world and have had traditional things. Now, said that, I think we all need to change. And we all need to change with technology. There is no other way. I think nobody can argue right now that, hey, the traditional world is going to win. It won't. So I think the way I look at it is the people who are going to come out of it stronger and better and more successful, who are going to adopt these tools to make their craft better. And I think the article says this at the end as well. The pen is still in the creator's hand, right? They're still holding the baton there to decide what they want to publish in what ways. I do think them as an enabler and really urge everybody in the traditional world to go try this.
Interesting. I think that like generative AI in films, movies, as an art form is something that's like the techno-optimist perspective, right? And people are excited about this in our world, but I'd say this is probably one of the things I see the most like pushback on out in the real world. I think most people are not excited about this. They don't like what it's doing for art, and so I like what Pratima is saying. I feel like it's hard to take this stance these days. It's almost like it's just very unpopular to say, "Oh, this is art."
Yeah, you would say they believe it's taking away from the art instead of enhancing it.
No, yeah, I think most people would say it's not art. It's
it's not art at all.
Yeah, because no human like touch was really part of it. All you did was prompt something and it made it. Whereas like VFX, you're actually in there like changing things,
or creating something.
You're creating. Yeah, you're taking hours and hours and hours of time.
So it's prompting. Prompting takes a long time to make something that looks as good as that building in Maybe in the
It
Netflix
does,
show.
but it takes significantly less time, right?
Right.
It takes 10 times less time.
100%.
At least for that scene. And then you've got movies like Across the Spider-Verse. That was an amazing film. And part of it was just the art you're seeing on screen. You know that like humans came up with these ideas and actually put it on paper and then put it on a visual screen. Like it's unbelievable what you're looking at. And the fact it's a human doing it is very cool.
Yeah.
I do think most people think like, no, I don't want to watch something that was generated by AI. They might change their view on that. They might just, be stuck in the traditional perspective. But yeah, I feel like this one, it's not a popular thing to say what Pratima is saying there. And I appreciate that she's like boldly, it's like, no, like if you are in the traditional mindset, that's going to die. So you just have to give up on
it. Probably will.
Yeah.
For my last question for Pratima, with tools like OpenAI Sora now in the mix, how do you think this changes the competitive landscape for smaller studios? And do you see this as democratizing production or raising new ethical challenges?
So I'm such an innovator, so I have a bias towards this, right? I'm a technologist. I'm gonna just put my bias out there. I do think this enables people to really elevate their work. Right across the, if you look at the creative people in art, that studio being able to do this 10x faster with a much lower budget, as discussed, is just amazing, because that's innovation. That's how we as human beings have succeeded over any other race on this earth, right? So I personally think about that. Yes, it does come with its own challenges. We can't undermine those challenges, and we need to address them as we move forward. But I almost find that the upside of this is so much higher for every industry, in the creative industry of movie making, but also for businesses, small, medium, large. Like for organizations like us, I'm using AI every day for everything I do, and my output has increased by a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you to Pratima for being on the show today.
All right, Jackson, before we get to our next segment, I just did want to say, could everyone who's watching this, if you've made it this far, that means you probably are enjoying the content you're watching. So please give us a like, throw us a like, and click that subscribe button down below. It really helps our show. We're trying to grow. We're trying to make this channel something we can do for the next 30 years, okay? So if we can't do that without the help of you guys joining us and supporting us and what we do. So thank you for doing that. Like, subscribe. All right, let's get to the next thing. So a cloud seeding video from Instagram here, Jackson.
Yeah, check out this video that I was sent by. I had 3 different people sent me this video yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, it's and the ending is pretty interesting.
Yeah, the ending is what we really want to check out here.
And 25,000 acres of nothing.
Because the noise they were planning on making would wake the dead.
It's like a horror movie.
And as it turns out, the cleanest.
That cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet. It's raining! NASA's playing God. It's making its own weather.
I keep telling you time and time again, people, cloud seeding and geoengineering is real. And they said this clip comes from 1999 or something like that. Imagine with technology what it would look like today. The weather that we get can be manipulated by...
Yeah, it's an American technology, cloud seeding.
I made a cameo.
So there's
Mom,
Jackson.
I made him a million likes on IG.
So yeah, you can see there. This is not. We didn't doctor this. Okay, this is not generated by AI. That is 1 million likes on a video that got 17 million views. And for some reason, the creator of this just threw in Jackson at the end, saying.
I think what he was saying is like it's important to remember that. And he says, well, it's American technology, cloud seeding. So I think he's saying that we need to remember it's an American thing. I think that's what he's trying to say.
No, I think he seems pretty against it. I think what he's saying is that, hey, America's been doing this.
Exactly.
Like in a bad way.
Yeah.
And we need to wake up, basically. Okay, so that clip of Jackson there was pulled from an interview we did with Augustus Dorico a year ago. Yeah. And we basically, like, we thought we were done talking about cloud seeding for a while, but it just keeps coming back up. So here we go. We want to address this. Here's the extended clip from our interview with Augustus to give you some context for why cloud seeding or playing God is maybe not as scary as it sounds on first glance, and to give you some context on why Augustus struck us as much more of a God-fearing man than a man who wants to play God. So here's that other clip here. Let's roll it.
Why is cloud seeding controversial, and like how do you explain to people who are scared of weather modification that it's not something that we should be afraid of?
Great question. I talk about this every day. So I think that there's maybe three fundamental questions, right? Like the first is this chemtrails? Are you like poisoning us, right? Like what are you spraying in the sky? People are wary of pollution, and they absolutely should be, and they should absolutely scrutinize cloud seeding operations to make sure that they're safe, that there's no ecological damage being done by them, that there's no adverse effects to agriculture or people. And so are we chemtrails, and is this stuff poisonous? That's the first question. No, we're not chemtrails. If you see streaks of clouds in the sky, not us. We only operate where there's already big puffy clouds full of water. That's the first thing to say. So cloud seeding and chemtrails, altogether different. Then the second thing is like, is silver iodide safe? Is the material that you're actually spraying safe? And silver iodide, its LD50 its lethal dose is 10 times higher than aspirin. So it's meaningfully less toxic than aspirin. The quantities you use are like a kilogram over hundreds of thousands of acres. So you're talking about over decades of operation, parts per trillion of this compound accumulating in the watersheds, almost undetectable to all but like the most sensitive instruments. So yes, it's safe. And then even still, Rainmaker is developing more ecologically friendly compounds to get ahead of the curve and be as safe as possible. So that's the first. The second question is like, are you taking water from other people? If you make it rain here, is it going to rain less there? And the answer is like, no, we're not. It's net positive water production. What I mean by that is only about 9% of the water that traverses the United States in the atmosphere. So between water vapor, liquid in clouds, and ice in clouds, precipitates over the United States. That means there's tons of liquid water up in the sky that we can tap into that is not naturally going to precipitate. It either sublimates away or precipitates over the oceans. We're tapping into clouds that can produce more water. And you have to select for that very particularly to make sure, like, okay, the droplet size in these clouds is sufficiently small that they're not naturally going to precipitate. We can push that over the edge via cloud seeding to make that rain in a productive capacity. Then the third big question. So the first is like, are the chemicals safe? Is it chemtrails? The second one is, are you taking water from other people? The third is like, well, that's God's domain. We as humans shouldn't be touching the weather. And my answer to that is twofold. One, we're already changing creation all the time. Like, you're fine with irrigation. You're fine with reservoirs. Like, we have dams that are productive. We have desalination plants to take water from the ocean, pump that inland. And that's all good, and we're totally bought into that. Well, there's water, there's rivers in the sky that we should tap into just the same. And sure, fine, this sky is like heavenly. I get how that maps to people in a certain way. But we should absolutely be tapping into that because we're already modifying the creation in all these other ways. Then secondly, like, we're modifying the weather unintentionally all the time too. We have emissions from all of our refineries, from all of our cars. We kick up dust at industrial facilities, and that changes cloud formation. Like downwind of coal power plants, you consistently see, because of all the steam and the coal ash they're emitting, precipitation downwind of those. So what we should be thinking about is like, okay, we're bumbling our way through this right now. We're modifying the weather unintentionally, perhaps adversely. Like, we should do that deliberately to maximize human and ecological flourishing. And then the last one is like, if you are religious, I think that like it's humans' responsibility to steward the creation that we've been blessed to have. And so if we can mitigate droughts, if we can mitigate severe weather, we absolutely have to. Like, I think it's our God-given responsibility too.
All right. So you heard it from Augustus. I understand if there are people who are like, no modifying the weather in any sense ever. The time when we're kicking up dust in a factory, bad. All these things. I think we can all agree. Those things are bad.
No dams.
Right. But if you're going to take that stance, the no modifying our climate in any sense ever, then sure, take that stance. Be extreme.
Yeah.
But that is an extreme take.
Yeah.
To say no dams,
let nature
no
do its
reservoirs.
thing and let it regulate itself.
Right. It's like, well, basically we need to not exist anymore if that's going to be the case, because we won't have technology. We won't have we'll just be deers, running around in meadows, right? Okay. So you can take that stance.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna have to start seriously like considering the double standard you have for cloud seeding versus anything else that we do that modifies the weather as it is now. And I think I'm not saying you have to agree with us, but I think that there's like a lot of conspiracies. There's a lot of fear about God's domain, God's territory. Like, we're Christians on this show. Augustus was a strong Christian. I genuinely don't believe that he has some ulterior motive to destroy the world or to like hurt people,
control the weather
through. So that's our 2 cents. Just thought we'd address it as we saw that there was a video with 1 million likes and Jackson's face on it.
Crazy. Shout out our boy Augustus.
Yeah. So, all right, that's it for Venture Daily. Thank you so much for watching today. We hope we helped you get a little bit smarter.
And thank you to Content Stack, as always, for letting us film here in Austin, Texas at the Content Stack Experience Center. If you like today's show, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or X, throw us a like, a comment, and a review. Throw us a 5-star rating. We think we earned it. And as always, we'll see you here tomorrow morning at Venture Daily.